Have you ever heard of cashew nut posture? I must admit I giggled a little the first time I came across the term, and it was actually quite recently. But if you picture a little cashew nut, that C shape, the head forward, can you not picture all of us every day sitting on our laptops, sitting on our cell phones, or even sitting driving in our cars, how we tend to slouch forward into this head forward C-shaped posture? So today we're going to chat a little bit about something interesting that's been hypothesized around how this particular posture can relate to stress and your body's physiology around something like that. So this slouched posture tends to compress your ribcage and your diaphragm down, meaning that you tend to breathe quite shallowly in the top of your chest. But even more than that, when you're sitting supported in a chair and slouched forward, you have almost no activity going on in your core and abdominal muscles and in your back muscles, the muscles that hold you upright while you're taking on the world and standing up against gravity. And interestingly, people are studying the effect that this might have on the stress systems in your body. I recently listened to a conversation where Peter Strick was being interviewed. He's a researcher and he's been researching the nervous system and nerve pathways for quite some time. But a while back he noticed that he was getting quite stressed and was looking for ways to manage his stress levels. And his children suggested that he tried Pilates or yoga as a way to manage his stress levels. And he says that he had this gut check that basically said, I don't think that's going to do anything. I don't see the science behind it. But being a researcher, he'd previously come up with a way to track different neural pathways. So to see what nerves connect and communicate with other nerves in the body. So things that work together functionally. And once he'd started thinking about the ways to manage stress, and particularly looking at Pilates and yoga, he started getting curious about whether there actually is a way to look at it and what the link might be. So he did some studies in animal models. So he studied rats and he studied primates. And with the technology that they developed in earlier testing, they'd found a way to track those pathways. And they found that the adrenal medulla, so the part of your adrenal gland that produces adrenaline, is connected to a nervous pathway back into your brain, and then that section is connected to a number of different parts of the brain, but cognitive, affective, and movement pathways in the brain. It's the way that you think, the way that you feel, but also movement pathways. And interestingly enough, one of those cortical control areas that it's linked to in the brain is a cortical control area that controls core muscles, so your anti-gravity muscles that keep you standing and sitting upright. So from this we know that there's actually a physical neural link between movement centers and actually core, so the movement control for your core, and the part of your body that produces adrenaline, so the part of your body that reacts when you're in fight or flight and when you're stressed, so your sympathetic nervous system. And we don't know that the one controls the other, but we do know that they're physically linked. So you can actually realistically see that sitting slouched without your core working all day could potentially, through direct pathways, have an effect on your stress system state. We also know from other fields of medicine, and something we've discussed quite recently here as well, when you're looking at your nervous system regulation, that different systems in the body all talk to each other through the nervous system. So your interoception, so the signals that your body sends up to your mind, according to polyvagal theory, they inform the predictive model of threat that your nervous system then places on the incoming information, and then that sets the temperature set point of your nervous system. So it states how your nervous system is going to react. So whether it's going to turn the volume up, turn the volume down, whether you're more aroused or whether you're going to be more shut down. We also know that the nervous system doesn't work in isolated parts. So breath is connected to heart rate, is connected to posture, is connected to mental alertness and emotion. And a lot of that works through feedback and feed-forward loops. So within the idea of interoception, you have your brain sensing what is going on in your body that gives information into the nervous system about whether it needs to upregulate or downregulate direct response, and then vice versa. So that upregulation or downregulation would be the feedback from your brain down to your body. So sitting slouched and slumped all day, that slouched posture is directly feeding input into that system, telling your brain and your nervous system something about the world that you're in, so how threatening the world is. And in polyvagal theory, slouched and collapsed forward as a posture tends to be related to the dorsal vagal state, so low energy conservation shutdown state. And when you're in that state, you tend to switch off slightly, so your body is trying to conserve. This isn't when you're going to be focused and effective and working well. It's going to tend to be when you lower energy and your body is just trying to go into preservation mode. Whereas a more upright posture, up and facing the world, is much more associated with a higher regulation, so more activated state. If you think about somebody who's very anxious, so if there's a threat immediately around them, they need to have their head up and be looking at the world around them, chest open, tall body. So when you are relaxed and slouched forward, straightening up your body sends information up to your brain just simply by the posture and by how your chest moves around that sends it information that changes the way that it's reading the environment that you're in. But not only that, it's changing what you're expecting from the environment that you're in. So being more upright is a cue to your brain that you might need to be a little bit more alert and a little bit more focused in the environment that you're in. We've previously spoken about interoception, so feeling the signals that your body is sending to you, and we've also previously had a blog post that's looked at how bracing your core also sends information into your nervous system. I'll pop a link to those articles into the blog post below this, and I'll also link to the research articles that I mentioned in the blog post below as well. So we've chatted briefly in the past about movement breaks, which is the idea of not sitting at your desk for hours at a stretch during the workday, but rather getting up and moving around every half an hour if you can, for a couple of minutes here and there. And there's different ways that you can do that, different movements and different kinds of things that you can do. But if you take it back to purely what we're chatting about here, so coming out of that slouched posture with the completely relaxed core, the compressed diaphragm and ribcage, and straightening your body back up again, you can simply do that. So every half an hour or so, or a cue that I like to use is whenever you need to check WhatsApps, be that personal WhatsApps or whatever, so something that tends to break your train of thought. So if you do need to pick your phone up to do something that's taking you out of work, use that as a cue to straighten your body up, bring your spine up nice and tall, take a full breath into your rib cage, feel how your body opens up, and just take a few seconds to really settle in and feel what you're feeling in that position and maintain that erect posture. You could take that further into literally standing upright and moving around the room. It does exactly the same thing, and it adds in a few more benefits. So it's a nice, simple little thing that you can do to reconnect with your body several times through the day. So pick something that cues you to do it. So every time you do it, it gives you a little reminder, and then do that one small repeated action, and it will start to become a normal part of your day, but your body will also start to settle into the patterns, and it will start to make more longer term changes to your nervous system state. Next week, we're going to look at movement breaks again, but we're going to look at it more from a metabolic standpoint, and we're going to look at how sometimes the timing of a movement break can be quite important. So we know that posture and breath and stress are not separate in our body. They are all one integrated system, and you can impact one by impacting the other. So in this blog post, we've spoken about how straightening your body up, so bringing yourself into erect posture, coming out of your little cashew nut position, you can use that to bring yourself into a slightly more alert state by impacting your whole nervous system, just by simply using your posture and using your breath. If you found this interesting and want to follow along for next week's movement tip, you can sign up for the email list for the blog below in the blog post too.